Hey guys, this is YuseiDWheeler here, and, well, I haven't done one of these in a while though, and before the year ends, I want to get one of my deck reviews out of the way though, so today I am going to be going over my Narukami Thunderstrike deck that got support from the G-BT09 Divine Dragon Caper set, and which gives support for both Eradicators and Dragonic Vanquisher for Narukami, which I just said. But for now, I'm going over the Vanquisher deck that I went over, that I actually put together a while ago before. So here it is. So we'll start off with the grade 3s. Our main grade 3s are Dragonic Vanquisher himself. This is the guy you want to ride into, obviously, though. And yeah, nothing more other than he's the main one, and his GB2 skill is whenever one of your opponents gets sent to the drop zone by the effect of a card, he gets 3001 crit, but his main stride skill is Counterblast 1, you retire a unit in the opponent's front row, and you bind it face up. So it retires first, goes to the drop zone, as in go to the drop zone first, then gets sent to the bind zone face up. So, pretty good unit. Of course, since this deck is kind of focused around it. Next, I run 2 Roaring Thunder Spirit Jaleel. Well, he's sort of like the backup grade 3 though. I didn't see what else I could run as a backup though, other than at least not any good ones though. So he's got a Thunderstrike 2 ability. Just when he gets 4,000 for all. So just during this turn, he gains 4,000, and then your opponents can intercept whenever during this turn. And when he's placed on the Vanguard circle, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, you just look at the top 5 cards in your deck, get a card from the card with a Thunderstrike ability, and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Well, hopefully it won't have to come down to you riding him though, but it's still there just in case. And my next 2 cards is Jaggy Shot Dragoon. He's got both Vanguard and Rearguard abilities at Generation Break 1. When he hits an opponent's Vanguard, you Counterblast 1, and your opponent chooses a card from their front row and retire it. So, not bad, really. Sometimes he does come in handy if you don't want to use if you don't want to use him to stride. Okay, next we go to grade 2. I run 4 Martial Arts Dragon. He's a decent card, honestly, but normally I'd bump him down to 3, though. But thing is, though, I don't have a 4th Voltage Horn Dragon, though, so I'm just going with this guy right now. He basically has a non-generation break skill, but it only works if you place him on Vanguard. Is you Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and you choose one of your opponent's rearguard in the front row, retire that unit, and bind it face up. And his rearguard ability is Generation Break Thunderstrike 2, which means your opponent needs 2 or more cards in the bind zone, and he becomes a 12k attacker, so he gains 3k when he attacks. Or not when he attacks, just during your turn he gains 3k. Okay, well, essentially he's still a 12k attacker though, but just it doesn't trigger it triggers for the whole turn though, actually. So he's not bad. And speaking of Voltage Horn, I have 3 Voltage Horn because that's all I have right now. But the deck's still running good right now, I'd say. So, and basically, he's when he attacks an opponent's Vanguard, and if he's boosted, you Counterblast 1. Your opponent chooses a rearguard from one of their own rearguards and retires the unit and then binds it face up. So, this is actually a very valuable card because this is one of the only cards that you can use that doesn't require you to hit an opponent's Vanguard in order to bind stuff from their drop zone. And speaking of which, I'm also running 3 copies of Rock Climb Dragoon. This guy's actually not too bad, because this is another one that doesn't require you to actually hit an opponent's unit, though, to actually retire and bind. He basically just, you Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, when an opponent's rearguard is placed, when this unit is placed on an opponent's rearguard, sorry, I can't talk today for some reason. And you just need a Vanquisher Vanguard in its card name as a you need a Vanquisher Vanguard. Then once you do that, your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards, retires that unit, binds it face up, and until the end of the turn, he gains plus 2,000 power. So, not bad. I'm kind of glad I held on to this guy though, because he can actually come in. He actually comes in handy though a lot of times. And lastly, I run 2 Demonic Dragon Berserker Chatura. You can run up to 3 if you want though, but right now I'm running 2 because mainly I don't want to have to resort to riding this guy as a Vanguard though, because well, he's only good as a rearguard though. And if you ride him as a Vanguard, he's an 8k, and I don't want to have to risk getting like rushed down like that too, because a lot of people do tend to take advantage of that though. But he's still good. I actually don't have any trouble drawing into him though. But still, he's still like a valuable asset to pretty much any Narukami deck though. At least 2 of though. You can in this deck you can bump him up to 3. I don't know. I may bump him up to 3 just in case though. You know. But right now 2 is still good. He's an 11k rearguard, and if he hits, you counterblast 1, draw 1 card, and then choose a card in the opponent's drop zone and bind it face up. So that's actually really good, honestly. Okay, now for grade 1s, I have 4 copies of Dragon Dancer Anastasia, though. I did try using the new Thunderstrike Perfect Guard for gold, but the thing is that without Anastasia, the deck has some pretty bad counterblast problems. So this kind of helps alleviate that problem, though. So, and also for this deck, you gotta also be wary about your counterblast. Just know when you don't want to just haphazardly just keep spamming everything you got that has a counterblast. Otherwise, it's not gonna go in your favor. All right. Next up, I run 4 copies of Mighty Bolt Dragoon because since we are running a Vanquisher deck, this helps as, of course, this is your stride bait unit though that you want to stride with. But also, in case if you don't draw into Vanquisher though, you're gonna need to call this out just to swap out like the grade 3 that you want, though, or at least kind of fish out that Vanquisher, because you pretty much always want to be riding into Vanquisher though, and that's why it's important to have 4 of these guys. So, not much else needs to be explained beyond that, I guess. Next, I got 3 copies of Trainee Monk Dragon. Okay, he's got a Thunderstrike ability, which is Thunderstrike 1. When he attacks a Vanguard, though, if your opponent has at least 1 card in their bind zone, he gains 2k, so he'll be a 9k attacker. He's only good for he's only really good for in the beginning, though, if you manage to get off Martial Arts Dragon's ability, which most often than not, though, you're not really going to get off Martial Arts Dragon's skill. Unless if your opponent likes to rush at you a bit, though, then probably you might see some of this get played. But his main uses if this is Generation Break skill at the bottom, which is you put him into your soul and then choose your one of your Vanguards with Vanquisher in its name, and then he gets the ability. Basically, when your Vanguard attacks another Vanguard, you choose another Rearguard, and he'll battle both that Rearguard and the Vanguard at the same time. So basically, he gets an extra attack in. He gets an extra attack target in, though. Once you just shove him into the soul, which is really good, honestly. This helps clear the board pretty quickly. And for the last ones, I run 2 copies of Chain Bolt Dragoon. It's a once per turn skill and a Generation Break 1. It's basically when your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone, do the effect of one of your own cards. So basically, your Dragonic Vanquisher, which counts because it retires it first, which retires, it goes straight to the drop zone first, then goes to the bind zone face up. So basically, once your opponent's rearguard's put into the drop zone from the effects of one of your cards, if you have a Vanquisher Vanguard, grade 3 or greater, so my mistake, then your opponent just chooses a card from your drop zone and binds it face up, and then you choose one of your other units, and it gains 2,000 until the end of the turn. So this is actually really good. It's like a free binding, though. So, which is pretty useful. This because as soon as you can get up to Thunderstrike 5 immediately, though, then you're pretty much set. All right. So now we go into grade zeros. I'm gonna go into my starter first because, well, that's how I have them stacked up here. So I run Ascetic Draco Kid though, and I've been running this. This guy's actually not that bad. He's got a Thunderstrike 1 ability, which is not Generation Break restricted, and when he boosts, he becomes a 7k booster. But his Generation Break ability is if any player's rearguard is retired other than this unit is retired from the rearguard circle due to any card effects though during your turn, then you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards, he retires it and binds it face up. So it's just a free retire bind card, which is actually really helpful. So basically, if you retire one of your opponent's rearguards during your turn, then you can just retire him, and then they choose one of their rearguards and then just retire and then bind it face up. All right, so my trigger lineup, I got 4 Lightning of Triumphant Return Resef. It's basically the Vanquisher critical trigger once your Vanquisher Vanguard attacks. Then you move it to the soul. Your Vanguard gains 5,000, and you draw 1 card. So it's good soul fodder because there are some cards. There's a good number of cards in this deck that Soul Blast. And in addition, I have 4 Malevolent Djinns, which is so for a total of 8 criticals right now. But I managed to find these out of my other decks though. For some of the other decks I'm not using though because, well, the deck does need Soul at times though. So this card's really important though too. So it's just basically like Flame of Victory. You move into the soul, give one of your Narukami units 3,000 power. So it's another crit that can help because it has an ability, and it also helps fill the soul too. So I run it's 8 critical. There's 4 draw because the deck does need hand size, and well, the standard for all my decks is at least having 4 draws because the draws are helpful. I mean, the only deck of mine that doesn't run draws is actually Nubatama because After Image, because draw triggers does hurt the After Image ability. So that's the only deck I don't run draws in. And of course, I got 4 heals because you need to heal, and for Generation Guards too. All right, so that's the main deck. I'm gonna go into the G zone. Okay, let me see. I run 2 copies of Conquering Supreme Dragon, Dragonic Vanquisher Voltage. He works really good as your first stride too, because all you have to do is flip over another copy of himself, and he gets the on-hit skill. If he hits, your opponent has to retire 1 rearguard, and then you get to choose up to 2 cards from your drop zone and bind them face up. But his second ability is, though, after flipping over a copy, he gets a Generation Break 3 skills. Is during your turn, all your units gain in the front row gain 3,000 cards. 3,000 power for each card in your opponent's bind zone. Sorry, I'm talking way too fast right now. But yeah, this is good. I mean, I do have another set though, but that's in my Eradicator deck. But so that's why I decided to just. I actually kind of like this picture too, though. But. Yeah, so this is the reprint from the set, though, so... Alright, so next I run 2 copies of Conquering Supreme Dragon Dragonic Vanquisher VMAX. He basically, when he attacks, though, he's good for, like, pretty good reasons, though, but I wouldn't run more than 2, because when he attacks, though, you can choose an opponent's rearguard for each face-up Vanquisher in your G-zone, each face-up copy. And he gets to attack them as well. So basically, he does another field like board wiping and stuff too, which is good. But his main finisher is the Thunderstrike 5 ability, which is at the end of the battle after he attacks a Vanguard. If your opponent has no rearguards after that, you counterblast 2 and then deal 1 extra damage to him. Though I did try running him at 4 too, but chances are though, well, mainly the reason why I was running 4 though is because I wanted to get like extra Vanquishers in the G zone face up, but in the long run though, your in the long run, after I've been testing though, you're not really gonna get a lot of them out though, especially if you like already finish off with like one or two of them by the time you go into the sky. So, and also because the Counterblast 2 is pretty pricey too. So yeah, you're not gonna really see much of the third one too. But so now I go into the next one on 4 Conquest Dragons. And this is from G-BT09. And what you do is that, well, this guy, I think everyone pretty much knows what he does, but just basically you flip over another Conquest Dragon, and if you have 2 or more face up, you choose a rearguard in an opponent's front row and retire it, and all your units in your front row gain 5,000 for each empty rearguard circle in opponent's front row. So if he has no more rearguards in the front row, your front row gains 10,000, which can also be a good finisher too, because it sets up those numbers. So that's it for that. I run 1 Voltec Zapper Dragon. He's another one with a Thunderstrike ability. He's a Thunderstrike 3 ability. Just when he attacks Vanguard until the end of the battle, this unit gets 10,000, and he gets a Counterblast 1. At the end of the battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, for every 2 cards in your opponent's bind zone, your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards, retires it, and just binds it face up. So it just helps you get more cards in the opponent's bind zone though, which it's not bad though. He's all right. I just wanted to put him in because just to help out, but he does cost a Counterblast though. So depending on whether or not you want to use him, it's up to you. But so I also run 1 copy of Lightning Dragonite Zorus. I mean, if you want, you can probably drop the Voltec Zapper and just add another Zorus, because he's pretty much like Voltage though, only without the Generation Break 3 skill. Just if he hits though, your opponent chooses a rearguard, retires it, and then you get to choose 2 cards, up to 2 cards from your opponent's drop zone, and bind him face up. So that's that. Alright, and then now for G Guardians, I got 2 copies of Sky Guardian Supreme Dragon Bulwark Dragon. He has a Thunderstrike 3 ability though, which is pretty good in this deck though, but for other decks though, it's kind of like meh. That's because yeah. So if you have the Thunderstrike 3, he gains 10,000 shield, and when he's placed in the Guardian Circle, for every 4 cards in your opponent's bind zone, you choose one of their rearguards in the front row and retire it though. Yeah. And like I said earlier, like, the thing I'm kind of disappointed though, the Narukami's G Guardians though are very limited though. So they're mainly only good in this deck though, but for other decks though, which I wish Bushiroad can make like different G Guardians for other Narukami decks. That way they can at least keep up with other decks. But for now, they're gonna have to make do with this though. And this just happens to be the deck that kind of takes advantage of that best, because this has all the binding mechanics. So. Alright, and the next 2 cards are from the Fighters Collection. It's Lightning King Spirit Emperor Vritra, or however you say it. And has a Thunderstrike 1 ability. It just basically, he gains 5,000 shields, so it'll be a 20k shield. Alrighty, so that's about it for the deck, though. And I'm trying that. I'm actually enjoying it like a lot more than I thought I would, though. Which is also kind of ironic, because my friend Lucas Gilbertson, who voices Morikawa from the show, and he also voices the character who uses this deck, though, which I just started making it, and all of a sudden I'm just having fun with the deck now. But in any case, though, I think that I'm kind of done rambling on. I might do another one of my decks before the year end, though. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully. Alright, and well, anything else I want to say? And well, just I hope you all had a good Christmas though, and hope you all enjoy the rest of the year, because I'm also going to be at a friend's house at the end of the year though, so I won't have a chance to make videos on the weekend. So just letting you know, and I do start class next weekend as well. Alright, I'm going to end this before I start rambling on, so thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, take care.